Zoom has this new feature where you have recording in progress, so everyone has to click. So how is everybody? Everyone's getting on. So good. We had a small family emergency this morning. The passport office is not being our friend right now. So some last minute calls and but just like I say to my clients, there is no problem we can't solve. Everything is figure outable, and so we can do hard things. So one of the concepts that I teach is something that I created for those of you who suffer from anxiety. I have this concept about worry road and hope road, and it's just so helpful. And so anyways, welcome. So I welcome you to, hi Dara. Hey Wendy, so good to see you. So many of you, I love seeing your names on here because I love helping all of you. And so today is a very special class, and actually what's special, well, every class I teach I absolutely love and I get so much out of it, and I know that I love getting your feedback about what you've understood from it. But one of the things about today's class is it is a precursor to my next pop-up group. So I see several of you in here, like I won't say names because there is Zoom, the webinars are good for that. So you can come, you don't have to have your makeup on. Unless you want me to shout you out, I'll shout you out. But there are women here who I haven't seen since the pop-up group. So fun to see you. I recognize your names. And I'm happy to see you. So today I'm going to be talking about summer body love. And I'm going to be doing just a little taste of what you can expect. And it's really fun because here I have my file folder of my previous pop-up groups. So you can see they're pretty substantial. Lots and lots and lots of great information. I always love to give you so much to think about. And Summer Body Love is no exception. No difference. It's going to be amazing. You're going to learn so much, and I'll talk about that at the end. So let's get started. I don't think you can totally see this. All right, here we go. So summer body love, and how I'm calling this is I want us to, I talked about how we want to ditch the old thoughts about our bodies, and we want to reframe our experience without punching ourselves in the face. So let's just talk about that for just a second. If we were to have one of those like monitors in your brain, that would monitor like your thoughts, and if each thought there was like a positive or a negative charge, how many of your thoughts, because we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, how many of them are positive and how many of them are negative? So if we had a little detector in there that said, oh, positive, negative, what would be the balance in your head? If you're brave enough, you can put it in the chat. Okay. But if you were to say, like what your ratio would be, I would love to hear it. Okay. So, because as we're going to talk about a little bit later, our thoughts really are the key. So when I say summer body love, now I'd love you to put this in the chat. What comes up for you? I love me cardigan. In fact, on the back of my chair right now, I have 3 different cardigans. Yeah, I bring them up and it gets warmer. So I love cardigans because they tend to hide things. Okay. 75% positive, 25% negative. There you go. Nice. Okay. So, yeah, someone else's body. Oh, interesting, right? What comes up for you? So when I say summer body love, does that sound, or when I even say body love, does that sound like an oxymoron? Okay. So this is what I'm expecting, and I want you to add things that I've missed. So what do you want your relationship with your body to be? So you want to be happy with your body. You don't want to have any judgment. You want to be proud of your body. You want to be pain-free, right? Who wants to be pain-free in their body? It's way more fun being pain-free. You want to have ease of movement. You want to have lots of energy. You want to have a balance. So kind of talking about that mind juice, like what kinds of things are you spending your time on? And are you being really distracted? I'm finding it's really challenging sometimes to get anything done when the phone keeps buzzing and there's all these things that it actually diverts my attention and it sucks my energy when it does that. Okay. So, which reminds me, everyone needs to turn their phones off right now. Okay. So this is what you want. You want to have more trust with your body. You want to be able to say to yourself in the morning, hey, this is what I'm going to eat. And then you eat what you say you're going to eat. You're going to go to a party. People are going to parties now, or the guild meeting, or whatever it is. And you want to be able to say, okay, when I'm at this event or doing this thing, I want to be able to trust that what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be a really nice person to myself in the process of all of that. Okay. I want to make good decisions. I want to be someone that just feels like, yeah, I'm really good at making decisions and I follow through. I don't want to be consuming so much. I don't want to be always consuming like content, but also I don't want to be thinking all the time about food. So everyone can hear me, right? Yeah. Energy. I don't want to be constantly sitting down exhausted. I want to just be able to be super energized and doing lots of things. And the self-talk is really important. I want to talk to myself like I would talk to my how I'd want people to talk to me, right? Kind of like the golden rule with yourself. What other things do you want in your relationship with your body? I'd love to hear it in the chat. So what are others? Did I miss anything? What are other desires that you have about your body when you think about it? Or your relationship with your body, the things that you think about. Did I miss anything? Approval. Yes, totally. Wow. If there is a participation award, I would say that Wendy would win. Where is everybody? You can chat in the chat. It's fun. Okay. I know, funny, right? Okay. What have you tried? What are the things that you have tried to have more comfort, more all the things that we just listed on the other sheet? Okay. So we go on diets. Some people even go as far as having surgeries, right? They go in and they say, I can't do this by myself. I'm going to need someone to cut my stomach up or put a band on it. I can't be controlled. I can't be trusted. This isn't working. Okay. We also have, we go to the latest trends. Who's tried keto? Who's tried all the things, right? I can tell you how many crazy things. One time I even got a book out from the library that said that you should eat an apple before every meal. Because if you ate an apple before every meal, then you would not be as hungry. Yeah, it was crazy, right? There's like lots and lots and lots and lots of different latest trends. Keeping really busy. I'm going to talk about some things that you probably haven't thought about. So if we keep really busy, then what could happen? We escape. So if we keep really busy, we aren't with ourselves. We're just like a human doing, okay? We also do a lot of blaming. Who's guilty of that? You spend a lot of time blaming, well, if he just didn't bring donuts home, And if they just didn't don't respect me enough, because if they did, they would think about me, whatever that is, right? Like there's so many different ways that we blame others and we never take responsibility for ourselves, but that feels really good and very justified. What about the shame part of like, if you just say, I'm not good enough and you stay in that, it's basically putting blinders on your own capacity and abilities. It's completely limiting yourself. Do you do that? Okay. I'm kind of throwing out some punches here, but this is actually what we have tried. We have tried to improve ourselves. The other thing we do is perfectionism. So I have written the 12-step perfection recovery program for that reason, because so many of us, we think that if we can perfect it, then we could never we never have to be criticized again, and we can become perfect, then we can eliminate all those other problems, okay? People pleasing. Well, if we can make other people feel good, then it'll rub off and it'll make me feel good. How often do we go there? This one is huge. Procrastination. I call these the triple P: people pleasing, procrastination, and perfectionism. Because procrastination is, I'm going to just wait for the right moment. So you're giving away all your power, thinking that when that one thing happens, then it'll be okay. Then that will be resolved. Okay. Rebellion. We've tried rebellion. We're like, we don't care. We can do whatever we want. How does that feel after a while? It ends up with being probably a pretty empty bank account because you're spending all this money, probably having a lot of extra calories, probably a lot of brain fog because we're eating a lot of things that aren't really that great for us, having like sore tummies and things. And we're not really being authentically us. We're kind of, again, hiding from ourselves. Another one that we do is we go to apathy. So we're like, well, I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. What's the point? Right? And so how many of us have that problem as well? Okay. And then it kind of leads us to numbing. So these are all just kind of variations of it. But when we think about numbing, it's like, I just don't really want to be present with me. I'll just do all of these things. I'll, do all these different kinds of activities, but I just don't really want to be checking in with me. And I definitely don't want to be spending a lot of time in here because that doesn't feel very good. So why don't these work? Because you actually try, you're like, well, if I don't care enough, then it doesn't matter. But does that really work? And if you numb yourself, does that work? Right? Rebellion, does that work? So these are things you've tried to not feel bad and to not worry about things and to not have any problems. But what is the result of that? Okay. So why don't these things work? Because I'm sure that you have tried this. Okay. Well, I want to help you change for good. So I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Dara Thomason, and I am the weight and life coach for quilters. And what my little background about me is, I have lost just over 50 pounds without working out, counting calories. I've been able to do all and keep it off, all with this. And I have to disclose to you that last month, it's been 5 weeks now, my son has left. He's 18 and he's gone for 2 years, and he's doing a service mission for our church, and I won't see him for 2 years. I'll talk to him and all of that, but I won't see him. This is the first time that any of my kids have left, and the whole dynamic, and I don't know if any of you can relate to this. And it was very interesting because I was really upset about it all. and there was a lot of resistance, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And I actually gained, I'm going to tell you, I gained some weight, like quite a bit of weight. Well, quite a bit for my standards. And it was very interesting because I was doing a lot of there was some like shaming, there was some blaming. I didn't really want to be feeling all my feelings. I wanted to be strong and I wanted to be this person. And it's been very interesting because now now that like when I was able to apply these principles, I'm back down to an awesome weight for myself. But I did want to share that with you. So I was up 9 pounds. And it was so interesting because even me as a life coach, a weight loss coach, even who help women lose 50 to 100 pounds, some, all in between and all in between, our brains can be very sneaky. But I do want to say there's only 2 reasons we're overweight. And so for me to be able to take that weight off, work through all of that, even that has been such a great exercise for me. And I love being the example of what's possible. So I did want to share that with you because I think there's a lot of us out there. Well, I can pretty much guarantee we've all lost weight, but mostly what happens is you gain all the weight back and some. So my losing 50 pounds without counting calories or exercising, I've kept that off now for just, I think, over 2 years. But I just did that. I went back up to, so I had lost 40 pounds, which was amazing. But for me, I was like, what's happening? And now it's back. It's not a problem. And I'm feeling really, really great about it all. But I didn't fall off the rails. I didn't give up. I just got super curious, and I was able to take care of the emotional pieces that happen when your family dynamic changes. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to how our emotional state affects our physical state. And I do want to say mental health has never been at such an all-time low. And even someone like me I've got my own coach and I coach people and I know these tools, we can have these ups and downs, and that's totally normal because we're human. And we will talk about being a human. But I did want to preface that. And I do want to give, especially those of you who are feeling, we kind of get that trap of like compare and despair. I want you to know that this human condition we're in is not actually a problem. It is an amazing opportunity for us to always be learning and growing. So I just felt like sharing that with you. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. I remember well when my oldest son left, and not for 2 years without seeing him. Totally. Right. So let's keep it real. And I want to just say to you, for those people who are, this is just a side note, those people who are considering my Love Yourself Thin program or working with me, I want you to know that this is real life. This is not like I'm promising you rainbows and daisies. And in fact, one of the tools that I teach, and I will be teaching this in the pop-up group, talks all about being a very balanced and real person. Okay. So let's just go to, and one of the things that I teach you is how to create permanent change. So yes, I'm a life coach, and a life coach, what makes us super unique and amazing is we literally teach you how your brain works, and we are able to help you look at what things are going on in that beautiful brain of yours, and then we're able to troubleshoot it. And then I teach you the tools to help yourself do that for you. It's a beautiful thing. So we actually change our neural pathways. We are literally rewiring our brain. It's the best news ever. Because the thing is, you have wired your brain in a way that's not serving you. And I get to teach you how to figure out what are those thoughts that are creating those results. And then we're able to learn why that's happening, and we're able to create permanent change. Okay. So even if you have a situation like I just recently had of my whole dynamic, my whole identity, it seemed like, and this son of mine, I mean, he is amazing. Like he drove kids, he did dishes like 4 times a day. Like it wasn't just him leaving, like it was literally like he was basically like a third parent. My husband works a lot. My husband's not home a lot. And so for me to do the kind of working full time from home and having a kid like him, such a blessing. And so there was lots of stuff that was involved with that. Okay. So even something like that, where we have, and then I wasn't giving myself enough comfort and all of that. There's a little bit of denial and acceptance. And that gave me the result of I wasn't really listening to myself as much as I teach my clients and that I have done in the past. But isn't that a beautiful thing that I can just lose that 9 pounds? No problem. When I can just take it down and really see what's going on. And I feel so amazing in my body. It's just so much more fun. We need to learn to listen to ourselves. And that's something we've been putting earplugs on for a long time. Social media, shopping, blaming, shaming, people pleasing, perfectionism, all those things are earplugs. All those things, they take us away from listening to us. Okay? I'm teaching you to listen. All right, so this is how change occurs. I talked a little bit about the wiring of the brain, and today we're not going to go into the lower brain and the higher brain, but that is something I will teach you and I will help you. We've got our fight, flight, and freeze response, and so many of us have been living out of that for so long. Our adrenals, everything, they're just really, really off balance. So how does change actually occur? Well, one of the main things that happens is that everything that we do, I want to tell you, everything we do in life is because we want to feel a certain way. And where do feelings come from? They come from our thoughts. So we have a thought like, I'm going to be late. And immediately our brain releases chemicals, hormones in our body, like adrenaline. And the adrenaline is released. And what happens? Our heart starts beating. We might sweat a little bit. Our eyes literally get bigger and they can see more clearly, right? Because it's like, okay, I have to grab something. I can't lose my keys. Like I have to do that. And so this is always happening. We see a brand new baby and it's like, oh, right? We have fear. Some weirdo is following us in the street. Same thing, adrenaline. We've got some extra help. So everything we do in life, our motivation is to feel a certain way. Why do we want a new car? Why do we want a new house? Why do we want whatever it is? Because we want to feel security. We want to feel important. We want to feel whatever it is. So but our feelings actually always come from the thoughts that we're having. Okay. So our feelings, then they fuel our actions. Our actions, so how we spend our time, that's what gives us our results. So if we aren't aware of our thoughts, we're kind of on autopilot, because if these thoughts are just happening over and over and we have 60,000 thoughts a day and we're not really aware of them, and we have all this like habitual kinds of thinking, then we have these habitual kinds of feelings that create these habitual types of actions that give us our habitual types of results. And we're like, I don't know, I'm just always gaining weight, or I don't know, I'm always feeling like a victim. I don't know. Because you're not aware of this. This is where it starts. This is the genesis, okay? But when we're not present with ourselves, then we don't even really know what thoughts we're having. And then the other piece of this, and what I want to talk about today, is knowledge. So the very first step of my Love Yourself Thin program, which makes my program so different than other weight loss programs, is I actually teach you weight loss science is simple. I teach you how weight loss actually works. And when you have knowledge, when you have a structure, when you have a set in your brain and you apply it, then you can change your results. The other piece is, and so I was an elementary school teacher for almost 10 years. And so of course my focus was on education. I taught mostly grade 5 and 6, which I loved. That learning, I knew those kids learned when they changed their behavior, when they were able to do things in a different way. So when I was teaching them long division, I was like, hey guys, this is this whole concept of long division. And then you can break it down this way. And then I would give them tests to say, hey, prove to me you understand this concept. And I could even say, demonstrate this to me, like explain it to me, or in paper and in verbal, whatever that was. Okay, so we were always checking their learning because we knew what results they were having. And we also know that you learn by if you change your behavior. Okay, so if you are, so some of my clients, if you are no longer punching yourself in the face, or you're not beating yourself up, so how many of you, and I don't, you can raise your hand, or you can just like physically raise your hand. How many of you are like, that's it. You get to one, I have a lot of clients that will come to me. They're like, I weigh 219 pounds, or I weigh 198 pounds, right? It's like, they're getting to those cusps of like, this is too much. And, so how many of you have said, okay, I'm going to lose weight, and you get the book out, you go to the grocery store, you buy all the food, and like Monday, I'm doing this. You buy all the containers. How many of you have done that? I'm going to do the batch cooking and get the containers. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've done that one. And by Tuesday at about 3:30, or even Monday, or even Monday by like 3:30, or even Monday at 11, Tuesday at 11, like you're good for a day. And in the next morning, it's like, you slip back. So you're like, okay, next Monday. So instead of giving up on yourself for a whole week, or even for a whole day or 3 days or whatever, my clients, they start learning to stop giving up on them. They don't have such a long period in between. They don't spend as much time punching themselves in the face, living like, I'm such a loser. What's wrong with me? When am I ever going to change? Okay. So that's how we change for good. We need to be aware of our thoughts, and then we need to see what's going on. Okay. So I'm going to give you some really practical tools in this training. So I really hope that all of you have your workbooks and a pen. Okay. I will send out the replay, and you can always watch my free trainings on my YouTube channel, which I hope you're all subscribed for. Now, so we're talking about the thought, and yesterday was fun. I was coaching one of my groups, and I said the thought that we need to find is like the golden ticket, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So when we can find that thought, that's like the genesis of our problems, right? Like that one particular thought, it caused that one feeling. That particular feeling generated all those actions that gave us the result. And that golden ticket thought can be for good or for bad, right? It's like we're on a quest to find that thought that's going to give us the results we want. So some of you on here have been past clients who've had great successes, and they were able to find these incredible thoughts, like I can do hard things, or weight loss science is simple. One of you on here is such a genius at no snacking, and she has such a good understanding of insulin because insulin is a huge factor for weight loss. So she now understands that so powerfully. So when she has these incredible urges, she's like, oh yeah, I can have an urge. I don't have to give into it. I'm going to take care of this body. I don't want my insulin going all over the place. Forget about it. Right? She has such a strong thought that she's not going to spike her insulin. And so that feeling is determination or dedication or self-love or whatever. I don't actually know what her emotion is, but it's so strong. It's such a great fuel that her actions are process the urge, don't snack, eat food that serves her. And the results are weight loss and continued weight loss. Okay. And so that's an example of why this is so important. Okay. So we're going to talk about 4 concepts. We're going to talk about self-worth, self-appreciation, self-responsibility, and self-confidence. I knew there was 4. I'm going to do it over a couple pages. How are we doing? Okay. We're doing good for time. Okay. So the first thing, like I said, we need to be present with ourselves. So in the chat, I want this to be a little bit more interactive. So in the chat, I want you to say, what are the things you do that stop you being present in your life? What are the ways that you stay disengaged from being present? What are the things you're doing? What do you think? Oh, social media. What else do we do? What are other ways that we escape our thinking, escape being present with ourselves? And when I say that, it's not being your authentic person. Head to the sewing room. Yeah. And it's okay to go to the sewing room. In fact, I encourage everyone to spend time in the sewing room. It's such a great place. But I want you to think about what is happening in your brain when you are in the sewing room. Okay. Working. Yeah. So anyone else a recovering workaholic? Okay. So if we are, it's actually not a problem. I mean, it's wonderful to work. I love my job, absolutely love my job. But if we are working to not be present with ourselves, it's like a way to not connect. That can be the problem. Food, right? One of the things that I tell my clients is if we are more physically full, we are less emotionally able to be there, which is super interesting, right? So if I don't know any of you out there who overeat, when you finish a meal, you're like, oh my goodness, I can hardly walk, or you just feel kind of sick. It's just too much. One of the reasons we do that is because if we are physically full, we don't have to be as mentally there. Okay. So when my kids were little and my husband was working so much, sometimes I just dreaded the after dinner because I had to clean it all myself and the bath time and everything. And it was just like, whoa, we'd had a long day. So I would overeat at dinner time because then I didn't have to feel my emotions as much. Okay. It was like a way to sedate myself in a way, or I was going to say mute myself. All right. So what keeps us away from digging in? So we have some good examples here. We have, social media, overeating, overworking, going to the sewing room instead of doing your other responsibilities first, whatever that is. Okay. Now, I want to tell you some things. Did you know late night eating? Oh, that's another one. So, especially at night when we're eating, we're not helping our body at all, because now we have all this food that's just sitting in our stomach, right? So super curious to see like what's going on with that. Okay, so thank you for sharing. The other one is who also doesn't sleep very much. They go to bed really late. That's another indication that you're wanting to like numb your brain a little bit, because if you're going to bed really late, you're compromising your sleep. And then, you are kind of tired, which is also kind of a numbing agent. And B, you're sleeping in for the day because you're not really managing your day very well. And you're spending a lot of time at night staying up late, avoiding other people, avoiding things. That's another really bad, well, it's a good indication that you're not with yourself. And because it's just another way of buffering, another way of not being present with yourself. There's a lot of other ways that we can do that. Over shopping, over social media, as we talked about, doing lots of busy things and not really ever getting a lot accomplished. Those are a lot of those kinds of ways that we don't let ourselves be present. Gossiping, that's another one that's really big. Getting like involved in other people's business, it's really none of our business. Kind of being a nosy Nelly. Okay. So those are ways. Playing games on our phones. We can even do like even service in a way that's like keeping us away from ourselves. It kind of feels important, but we're not having that balance. So we can say, "Oh, I need to make all these charity quilts," and you get really sidetracked or whatever that is. That's not allowing you to be present with yourself and be best version of you. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of explore that a little bit. Okay. This is key right here. Did you know that your value is already set? The day you were born. It was already decided. So whether you weigh 230 pounds or 130 pounds, it does not change your value. It doesn't. Your value is already there. You're already 100%. I mean, can you imagine looking at a baby and saying, "I don't know, baby, I think you need to wash the floors a little bit more so you could like earn your keep here"? No, of course not. So at what point does that baby, who of course is growing and growing and growing, all of a sudden, where is the switch where it's like, okay, you got to earn your right, you got to earn your worth? Like, think about it. You're like, when they're 8, when they're 10? No, they don't have to earn anything. They're already amazing. Okay. It's really, really important. Oh, I am so sorry. I have to just put this on pause for just 1 minute. All right. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so your value is already set. Now, the next one is self-appreciation. So I want to talk a little bit about this because how much, so self-appreciation is appreciating yourself. Okay, so we all know that. That's very explanatory. But I wonder, one of the things that I was thinking about was self-appreciation, and you think about money, right? So when you invest money in the bank, what happens to it? It appreciates. And so when we invest our time in ourselves, what do? We appreciate. And I want you to think about how often how much time do you spend appreciating other people, serving other people, which is not a problem. And I'm not saying you should be like a self-centered person, but I am curious, if I gave you a task to spend 10 minutes writing a list of what you really love about yourself, how easy would that be? Would be truthful. Do you think you could do it, and how easy would it be? So one of the things that I would encourage you is that we need to, so we don't want to be, I'm not saying to be a person who brags, because arrogance is really believing you're better than others. And that's not at all what I'm talking about. but I do want you to question, this is appreciating ourselves as much as we appreciate others. How much time do you spend appreciating yourself? And when we talk about summer body love, what are we looking at? We do a lot of comparing and probably despairing. Whereas, what would it be like? And we're going to talk about this more in the pop up group, but what would it be like to appreciate our body no matter what size it is? When I just even think about this, like my hand, our hands, like they cannot reproduce our hands. Like they have robots doing all sorts of things, but like what we can do, we just think about it. We don't even really think about it. We can just do all sorts of things. And we can write and we can do all these things. Right? I appreciate that so much about our bodies. So I just want you to just kind of play with that. Excuse me. Now, the next concept is self-responsibility. So when we think about self-responsibility, so you create your own feelings. And I have a concept in my program that I talk about emotional adulthood. I've actually taught it 3 different ways this week. It was really fun. And ultimately what it's saying is that we are 100% responsible for our own feelings. Guaranteed, every time. Anybody can say anything to us, and we are always responsible for how we feel and how we react. And if that is something that you have when I say that is challenging, I invite you to come and talk to me about it, because it is the only way to be an emotional adult is to completely take responsibility for whatever people say and whatever people do. And doesn't mean that you're a doormat or anything, floor mat. Like we can always, and I teach them how to create boundaries and all of those things to stand up for ourselves. But this self-responsibility, you create your own feelings. You do, because you're always responsible for what thought you have and what thought you're going to spend time on. So when we have this, we learn to accept that's who, like, we are always responsible. And I invite you to do that over and over and over again. Okay. Blame. How many of us spend time blaming the system, the government, family members, community members? Like, this is not serving you. We only have, for those of you who went to my procrastination pop-up group, we talk about you only have so much juice a day, like battery. Like think about your phone. You only can charge it once a day. That's it. So we only have a certain amount of hours every day. And if we are spending a lot of that energy and time on blaming, that's taking away from us being who we want to be. Okay. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about self-responsibility is that your brain is, it's a human brain. We are, we're just learning. We're just always in the process of learning. And so when we don't get something the first time, what happens? And it's actually really interesting. So when I wrote the 12-step perfection recovery program, and I was really doing a lot of my own self-work on perfectionism. So when I used to teach quilting, I said to the ladies that I was the president of the perfection recovery program. And ultimately, women at the end of every class would say, is that real? And I want you to just, even this concept I wanted to share with you briefly was, so for example, I'm just going to give the example of the passport office. So my husband, he actually did it, but let's just say it was, you submit the passports for your kids, okay? And you think you do everything right, and you read all the instructions and you do everything. And then they come back and say, actually, this part and this part weren't right. So this would be 2 different ways of looking at it. The perfectionist would mean there's something wrong with me. I'm a terrible human. Whereas the non-perfectionist would be like, oh, I thought that I had done all that I needed, but apparently I didn't get it all right, no big deal. I can solve a problem. But the perfectionist totally takes full responsibility for them. And that's terrible. That's like constantly punching yourself in the face. Okay. It's not allowing you to be a human with the human experience of constantly learning and growing. Okay. So when you're quilting and you're trying a new pattern, it's like you expect that you should do everything perfect. You should never have to unstitch something. You should never have to read the pattern twice. You should never have to struggle. You should never sew the row on the wrong way. Who's done that, right? You should never have to square it up because it should be perfect. And if there's any deviations or any problems, it's like you make it mean that you're a terrible person. So interesting, right? Okay, and then the last part about when we talk about self-responsibility is that our brain is our most powerful tool. So by taking responsibility for everything your brain does, you fully reclaim your power and your ability to use it as a tool. So it's the same thing if you think about if you were writing a computer program. A computer program is literally just zeros and ones. And so you're the one who programmed it in there. And so if you made a flaw, it would just say, oh, error, it's not working. And the same thing can happen with our brains. We're like, oh, we thought that if we submitted 4 kids' passport applications, that everything would be perfect and there would be no problems. Like one of the problems we have right now is, and they're silly ones, like my son's birth certificate doesn't have our names on it. So now we have an extra step. My daughter had her last pictures when she was 7, and we put in new pictures and they say, actually, you need to have other ID with her current picture. She's only 16. You can clearly tell it was her, but those are the rules. And so that's what we're talking about. It's just being a human. It's just, these are the rules, and they have all their rules that go with that, right? Which of course now creates different hoops that we get to jump through. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is increasing our mental strength. So before we talk about self-confidence, this is going along with self-appreciation, self-responsibility, and increasing our mental strength. So I want you always, when you come to any of my classes, even my free trainings, I want to give you practical ways for you to change. And I do really appreciate you coming and giving me this hour. And I really want you to appreciate yourself, saying, look at me being a good human to myself. I am actually training. I am giving my brain a workout. It's like we're at boot camp or something, right? That's what the pop-up groups, I should call them boot camps, because you're going to get so many valuable tools and strategies and ways that you can literally change the way you think, and you can be at peace with your body. And guess what? You can be at peace with your body without losing any weight. Isn't that amazing? And in fact, I even say you cannot lose weight permanently until you accept your body for how it is. Even if it's at a weight that you're like, until you accept what is, you are not going to change. You're going to do some white knuckling and you could lose some weight, but that's why people put it all back on, right? Oh my goodness, it's 11:50 already. Okay, so don't feel sorry for yourself. Embrace change. Focus on what's in your control. Please and like yourself. Take calculated risks. Release the past. Learn from your mistakes. Celebrate other successes. Keep trying. Spend time alone. Work for what you want. It is not selfish for you to take care of you. In fact, one of the biggest things that I'm taking away is the more I invest in my brain, I'm in business masterminds. I have my own life coach. I have all sorts of ways that I invest. I invested in life coach school, all of that. I'm constantly doing self-coaching. I'm really getting so good with these tools. And it's not selfish of me. It's actually one of the greatest gifts I'm giving my kids, because they get a completely amazing mom, because I am so much more whole. I am so much more patient and kind and loving. I'm so much, I have so much more energy, all of that, right? I have so much less, I have so much more brain juice, because I'm not spending so much of my time beating myself up and hating my body and thinking I'm so terrible. I have such a good way to manage this beautiful mind of mine. It's such an amazing machine. It's like going from like just like a Kenmore sewing machine. You can like a entry, like a $50 one, to getting like this like super fancy, I don't know, whatever, Bonina or whatever you go with, and with all the bells and whistles, because your brain is just so on it, and your body is so much better. Like you don't have the brain fog, you don't have all of that, and it's just so much, and you're just going to get so much better results, right? Okay, so self-confidence, I want you to think about the recipe for self-confidence. We got to have some courage, a heavy dose of courage. We got to have some fear in there, because the like place of believing and trusting comes from you, not others. So you are the one. Says validation, and it's a skill you build. So you need to have courage, you need to have some fear, and you need to have a vision of who you want to be. And so self-confidence is when you're trying new things, big things, you're going to need to rely on courage to see you through. Confidence with fear mixed in with courage, that's what keeps us moving forward. And so I love how much courage my women have when they start working with me. And I know that they can create these changes. All right, so that is the free training for today. And now I just want to talk to you about the opportunity that you have to take, like, if you liked what we did today, that is just a small bit of what Body Summer Love is going to be, pop-up group. So I said how to love yourself when you don't feel acceptable. So you don't have to raise your hand. Well, yes, you can raise your hand. I can't see it anyway. But how many of you feel like your body is acceptable? How many of you are like so proud of this body of yours? Okay, so you can answer it however, like be honest, right? So I'm going to teach you how to accept yourself even if you don't feel it's acceptable. Did you know that? You don't have to accept, like, let's say your body is 100 pounds overweight. By the way, I have a client right now who's at 82 pounds, and my youngest son, who's 9, he weighs 82 pounds. And she basically, we were joking. She's like, I've lost to Grant. His name is Grant. And this morning I was, I took them, we live on a mountain, and they were going for a ride. So I drove them up to the top, and then they come down and walk home. And I was like carrying him, and that's a lot of weight. And so her life is so different now, because she's not carrying a whole kid around everywhere she goes. But so we need to ditch the old thoughts, okay? Because our thoughts, like I shared today, our thoughts are what cause us to feel. Our feelings are what generate our actions. Our actions then, however we spend our time, they give us our results. So if you want different results, you need to figure out what thoughts. That's the genesis, right? That's what's causing it. Okay. So we need to reframe your experience with your body so you can stop punching yourself in the face. Because like I said, if you're constantly punching yourself in the face, you're literally walking around with bruises, and it's no fun being you. So no wonder you keep filling yourself with concentrated, like refined flour and sugar, because those you get a taste, and it's like, oh, because I mean, it does. It releases dopamine. Actually, all food releases dopamine. Okay, So let me just tell you, does anyone have any questions about the pop-up group? So what happens is it's going to be for 4 days. You're going to meet with me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to open the Facebook group on the 17th. So, and then on that day, you're going to get the worksheets so that you can print them off, you can review them. If you want to get a binder, you can go ahead and do all that. And so, and you can introduce yourself. It's kind of fun in the Facebook group. We kind of get to know each other a little bit. And then I have some like questions in there. We kind of have some discussions. And then Monday morning, we have our first class. And then we just go Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Thursday is all Q&A. So any questions you have, you can ask me. The other thing that's going to happen in the classes is you can have a chance to raise your hand and get coaching, which is super amazing to watch. It's a great way for you to learn what I'm talking about when I say life coaching is finding a thought that isn't serving you, or it could even find a thought that is serving you, and you can isolate that thought. You can see what feeling is attached to it. See how that feeling generates actions. Those actions then create a result. So I'm going to teach you how to get whatever result you want. And it is $9, $9 US. And in the email that you received to get this link, it has the invite link on there. It's through Eventbrite. And if you can't find it, if you have any trouble, you can always email me, Dara at darathomason.com, and I can send you a link. So that is going to be available for you. So in this 3 days training, we're going to discover why we are holding on to those unhelpful thoughts. We are going to learn some tools to change that. And we're going to get really strategic of how we can create permanent change. It's a tall order. That's okay. I got you. I'm going to teach you about how our brains work. I'm going to teach you how we can create that permanent change. Does anyone have any questions for me at all about any of the things that I shared today in the introduction to Summer Body Love, about the pop-up group? Oh, and also, so for any of you who are interested, my next Love Yourself Thin program, it's available. It's starting on July 28th. So applications are due. So you can have, so this is the start date. And then if you want a meeting with people, if they want for consults on the 26th and 27th, but this is the start date. Okay. If you get in before that time, you can actually come to, on Mondays, I have my Perfection Recovery class. And so if you sign up beforehand, I actually reward people for taking action. And that's a bonus of, you can sign up. If you sign up even today, wouldn't that be so fun? You can claim your spot. I've pre-sold more spots than I've ever pre-sold, which is really exciting. And if you sign up today, you can get into I have a treasure trove of resources. And so I'll allow you into that access. There's over 45 hours of content. And then you can join our Perfection Recovery class every Monday. And you can I'll send you the digital copy of the Perfection Recovery book immediately. So on payment, you can be joined to either one of those programs. But I do encourage all of you to go and spend the $9, get yourself registered for Love Yourself Thin. But for any of you who are considering the Love Yourself Thin, I highly recommend you can go to my website. It says Work with Dara, and you can pay right then. If you do want to have a consult with me, if you have any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to talk to you. This definitely is a big investment of time and money, but I just interviewed, in fact, my cheeks are still sore. I interviewed like 9 of my clients, and every single one of them said, you're worth it. Was such an amazing investment. You need to do this for yourself. And so, but I'm happy to meet with you, and we can talk about you becoming a member of Love Yourself Thin. And it's in like a few short weeks, but make sure you do this. This is gonna be super fun. Any other questions of any of you? It was so fun to spend this hour with you. I do apologize for the little interruption of the passport office, but he said if you don't answer the phone when he calls, you're going to miss out. So I thought Murphy's Law is going to call right when I'm in my class, and it did, and that's okay. I think a lot of you are moms or aunties or cousins, and you all understand the importance of putting our families first. All right, take care, everyone. Please feel free to ask me any questions, Dara@darathomason.com. I would love to help you with any of it. Take care. Bye.